Hello everyone, my name is AP the Weird One, and welcome back to more Full Metal Panic episodes. I believe 14 and 15 make 100%. Oh no, 15 and 16. We're 15 and 16. The winds blow it home. Now, in doing a little bit of research for this, because I was wondering about the country that we're in. We're in the fictional country of Helmajistan, which is another term made up version for Afghanistan. I did find out that these three parters are anime original, and I didn't realize this was a three-parter until after the end of episode 2, which we can save the big part 3 for a more part 3 will be for more of a make for a better review because they'll have a lot more action, a lot more to talk about. But yeah, so these episodes basically contain Mithril has found out that Garon is still alive, which is different from the light novel. We'll cover it as is when we discuss the light novel. But he's alive, and then he is in Helmajistan or Afghanistan. We don't know what the purpose is, but Mithril is sending a team to hunt, snipe him. And unfortunately, it's not the normal group. We do have Sosuke, but Kurt and Mao are there to entertain and protect Kamina as those two. But we do get a little bit more insight to Mithril as an organization, how Tessa doesn't have the ultimate authority, but also Mithril gives out special equipment to the Toothladan and this group, such as like the Arbalists, and people don't necessarily trust their information, which we'll talk about a little bit. But yeah, we're first thinking this is going to be a bit of a beach scene. Unfortunately, it's not. We usually get to see both the lovely ladies of Chidori being looking very good, but yeah, she's kind of depressed because Sosuke is not there with her, and throughout periodically through parts 1 and part 2, we'll see Chidori just kind of being very somber. She's missing Sosuke, and she's wearing kind of a very more conservative outfit opposed to the others, but Sosuke is tasked to go take on Garon, and this is basically his team from various parts of Mithril. And through the words of Grace, the girl, we found out they've all come from war-torn times, or their units have displaced them. She's come from Eastern Europe. She's come from Eastern Europe. This guy here, Bill is the leader. This is Andy. This is Bashit. And this is Jackson. These three don't like Sosuke. They are very interesting, worthy of him because he's 16, and yeah, they don't trust his information. They constantly back down to him. Bill doesn't do it so much, but yeah, even he's kind of mistrusting. Grace is the only one that gives him any kind of respect and love. She even offers to him to, once his operation goes over, why don't you join our team? She said, you can think about it, because Sosuke doesn't think Kamina really likes him. Like, there's nothing really for him back at home. He's not very unsure of it. When she said that, I'm like, oh, you basically signify that everybody's going to die. Bill already dies in part 1, but yeah, everybody is going to be, you just sent the death message that you're going to kill, everyone's going to die. Bill Basit, he looks like batshit, but it's not. Basit. He gets a gun wound, but it does get taken care of. But yeah, so yeah, these four are pretty much idiots. They don't trust Sosuke and his information, even though that he's had experience with it. They just don't trust the Toothladan's intel. They're very wary of it, which I guess in some ways can kind of call back later to Mithril as an organization, just based on my reading. So yeah, they go to Afghanistan. We'll just say that makes it easier on my pronounce. They discovered him, and they discovered they're transporting something, and we'll find out later it's basically a nuclear bomb. One thing I talk about the episode is when they're forced in a position to. One of the things, I guess they end up capturing the missile, but I'm wondering why they couldn't blow it up where it is, because it's in the middle of the desert. I felt like they could have just easily sniped it from afar, and you would have taken care of both Garon and the opposing forces. once they kind of realize the missile, but realize it's a nuclear missile. I felt that would be the more logical conclusion, but say where it is. Even Sosuke, like later on, says we should dump it, somehow get rid of it, but like no, they're tending to keep it, which I think is a very stupid move. That's probably my like one complaint, but it'll probably play importance in part 3. It will be the key to the victory of the mission. So yeah, in part 1, they're scouting the location. They see Garon. Sosuke tries to give them intel, like, yeah, if he gets his machine, they're screwed. They don't listen, and when the firefight does happen, they realize that Garon does have the Lambda drive. Andy is the first to make the move. He fires on the squadron, and he breaks up the battle, and they are more than capable of holding this group on, and that's out basically build dice. But we do get a couple machines. We do see the M9s in a more desert color. The Arbalest is going to still be in its classic white. They're okay in a desert look. I mean, we can talk about it. This is not my favorite desert color looking. We will discuss that a little bit later. But yeah, they look fine. They didn't. When I was watching the anime, they didn't seem like they were M9s, but I'm like, look, I realized it later. But then we see a red machine. We'll see it a little bit close distance. I was looking at the Full Metal Panic wiki. This thing has no name. It's maybe a version of RK Savage or the Cotterile. I don't believe it has the Lambda drive, just based off of the fighting. But the person inside is Zahid, which was a friend of Sosuke from when he lived in Afghanistan. Sosuke believes he's died. Based off some wording and everything, we are under the assumption that he's the one who planned the attack and got Sosuke's pseudo family dead. Basically, he turned on him. We find out through part 2. But this is a closer up look at the machine. It looks cool. I do like the look of it. I just wish it had a more official name. And payback to Mobile Suit Gundam. Arbalest is a red, and of course the Arbalest is white, and this is a red color. Luckily it's just kind of like a more filler episode, and the more the other mechas that Sosuke will fight are a different color. But yeah, there's a little bit of a callback to Gundam, and even them kind of being friends. You could even tie back to Gundam Seed a little bit with Athrun Zala and I think Gundam Seed. I actually will have to check, but I think Gundam Seed came after this or around the time, so maybe I'll have to check. But yeah, so you could Athrun Zala and Kira. Maybe you can make a reference to that, because Athrun did have a red mobile suit. But we do see the Cotterile back again. It is a more desert color as opposed to silver, and it looks awesome. I love the desert look for the Cotterile. But yeah, the first episode, we do get to see both this and the Arbalest Lambda drive go boom. One of the MX M9s launches basically kind of like a missile, and Gaon uses the Lambda drive. Then Sosuke gets in front of it, and it basically causes a gigantic explosion. It looks really cool. I love the explosion. Really neat. And then they manage to escape with the missile, and of course, Baptiste is unfortunately injured. And basically, part 2 is them trying to figure out what to do with him and to do with the missile. They eventually get a little bit more about backstory, and they eventually trust Sosuke in his information that he's been a child soldier since 8 years old, which from my perspective, why is this strange to the other members of Mithril? This would seem kind of normal. I mean, I think like World War II could have been a perfect example. And I think if anybody who knew about the Middle East during the time would maybe assume child soldiers. I don't know. I think maybe even Vietnam a little bit. Them thinking child soldiers is unusual. Just like, really? Okay. That's a little bit of faults to that episode, but they originally want to go to a town that's basically 3 days away. Sosuke recommends don't do it, but Grace is like, we're going to do this. We need to save him. He's not going to make it. Unfortunately, of course, you say something that does. They eventually find the old encampment that Sosuke was at, and they do find the medical, but because of the location, they're going to get a little bit traptured. They're going to get pinned. And because Zahid, they kind of have a plan of attack. One of the things I did read a comment, I does make a little bit of mistake, make sense. And I can actually see where Garwan might think the otherwise, right? Why Sosuke would think otherwise, but basically go to a location and where the people got destroyed, Garwan had this certain method, and Sosuke initiates the same plan. Zahid decides to go for a bit of a different strategy, try to confuse them up. I can see why Sosuke might want to do it because it worked one time, and maybe Sosuke is not fully prepared for it because it does lean. Because when they did talk about it, he was away from the incident, but Sosuke should have predicted something new, possibly, or I guess he thinks Garwan can do the same strategy or work again, given that he's got the Lambda drive. I guess I'm not that too big of a deal. It's not a deal breaker. Grace has already signified they're all going to die in part 3, except for Sosuke. So it's like, whatever. But overall, the 2 episodes, they're kind of nice. I'm looking forward to part 3. I'm glad I kind of did it this way as opposed to doing all 3 episodes. Just we have a little bit of breather before the big room, and we do get to enjoy the mecha. We do get to see the return of Kataryle in its magnificent beauty. And we do get to see this red mech go into action. Bit of fun. It doesn't get a lot of beat down, but it has some fun. I enjoy what it is, and it also kind of Zahid makes fun a little bit of Garwan near the end of the episode, so that was kind of cool. So I would say a much better filler episode, or even a short story. It's a little bit fun. You could say whatever about the characters, but I mean, I think it does communicate like how Mithril works, and just seeing that Chidori does miss Sosuke, even if he is a bit of a pain in the ass. But with that, I'll see you guys next time for part 3, which will be on Monday. Hopefully have a wonderful day. And I also do have another video that's earlier. If you're big into Digimon, definitely check that out. Anyway, catch you guys later. Have a wonderful weekend.